going on, fellow A-plussers? It is I, your more phenomenal host, as always, Adam Perez, and we're back once again with another DonBrothers review, as we're playing a little bit of catch-up here. I'm not going to lie, it's been a rather couple of busy 2 weeks, if you will, 2-3 weeks or so. We definitely have had some family members come down and visit, really kind of throw off my schedule for the most part. So I do apologize for being a little bit late when it comes to my DonBrothers. Doesn't mean I've fallen off the series by any stretch of the imagination. I continue to love this show, but we're going to go ahead and play a little bit of a catch-up this week here as we're diving into episode 11 of DonBrothers. Another spectacular episode. This one was a little bit more on the humorous side in the sense of how they play the DonBrother characters alongside one another in here as they're in the process of trying to take care of Inu brother, who has unfortunately become sick in this week's episode. And so that was really the focus of seeing how the other DonBrothers were definitely going to go ahead and take care of them. But it's really continued to open our eyes to exactly who the Beastials are, their impact that they're clearly going to have in this series. And I really enjoyed kind of even further learning a bigger connection between the Cerebrans along with Jin as well. I had no idea that those two were in fact connected, as it really does seem all of this is certainly connected, and certainly a lot more to be explained as the series certainly goes on. So I'm continuing to love the mystery. You know, they're really revealing little pieces of information each and every episode, it feels like. So I do feel satisfied in that sense that I continue to learn more, despite the fact of continuing to also have more questions for us to certainly get through. But I think the pacing has been fantastic, and just some really brilliant kind of storytelling that feels like all the plot lines and details have been really well thought out. And as a fan, that's all I can really ask for, because it is really delivering on all aspects. But let's go ahead and dive into episode number 11, guys, and talk a little bit about this, as the Beastials are really continuing to have a much bigger impact. The police officer that we've seen throughout this season so far, he was on the bus trip that we saw a couple of episodes that went through the tunnel, and on the other side of the tunnel did not show up, did not at least pop back up in the bus, as a lot of people certainly were missing from that bus trip, if you will, only for them to surprisingly come back and definitely show a different side of them, if you will. And so we do see the police officer in here. We did see him the previous episode, I believe, showcasing his bestial ways now, as it seems as though he's being embodied certainly by either multiple beasts or maybe one in particular in here. But Jin also gives us a little bit of a warning sign that in order to notice who the Beastials are, Beastials really will be doing a lot of origami. And we definitely have gotten an opportunity to see the police officer certainly doing so. And it seems as though they are in the process of hunting down maybe some of the DonBrothers, because it felt very much like this police officer had his mind fixated on trying to locate Inu brother, certainly of all people, and that's exactly where this episode really kind of takes off for us, as even in his police officer form, I mean, the fact that he's catching up to Inu brother, who's trying to run away on his motorcycle, I think showcases the type of speed that he's capable of, the incredible like flip that he does over the bike and stuff. So some really supernatural abilities, even without the police officer turning into sort of his true bestial form. So very intimidating stuff, to the point where he really does kind of get the upper hand on Inu brother and stuffs a piece of origami in his mouth, and it really just kind of makes him absolutely sick, feverish, just truly out of commission. And this is really where the fun begins for me in this episode, in the sense that not only does, I believe, he show up, or I believe it's Tsuyoshi, the pheasant in here, Kiji brother, that discovers him in an attempt to try and help him. But I love the fact that even Kiji brother runs to Momotaro for assistance and help, and Momotaro's advice or help that he's trying to do is he gets the rest of the DonBrothers to definitely go ahead and help out Kiji brother here. What makes this fun, though, for me in this episode is, while they certainly rely on each other and not so much taking him to the hospital because they know his fugitive status, right? They really have to kind of solve this problem on their own. You know, 11 episodes in, for me, it continued to be fun at the idea that these teammates don't really know that they're teammates, right? Like, they've all continued to bump into each other coincidentally know of each other in their civilian forms, but the idea that not everybody knows who everybody is pretty fun to me, right? The idea that even Kiji brother and Inu brother still haven't been figured out by the rest of the group. So Saru brother, Oni sister, and I believe Momotaro probably don't know who the pheasant or anybody or the dog is on this team. And so it really made for a fun dynamic when you've got Oni sister and Saru brother going back and forth, right? Doing their best to try and take care of Inu brother, but then also having to get back into the fight and the mission without letting Kiji brother know. And so the fact that they kind of just keep piggybacking off of each other, right? Kiji brother walking into a room just after they left, him doing something ridiculous and then being thrusted into battle, and then all of a sudden the rest of the team maybe comes back to their civilian aspect of things, because Momotaro for this point was really trying to handle everything himself in an attempt for Inu brother to really get all the attention. So I do appreciate that in regards to his leadership, but I also appreciate his companions and his allies certainly coming back and forth, certainly trying to help him out while they certainly figure things out for themselves. So it definitely made for quite a humorous interactions between a lot of these characters this week, and it certainly worked extremely well for me. But they eventually do figure things out by the end of this episode, as I believe they try and get Tsuyoshi to, as I think one of their urban myths or something that I think the professor himself, Saru brother, comes up with is, let's just try this out and see if it works. Put a bowl of salt on your head, keep it up there, don't spill any salt, and just pray for Tsubasa's recovery, if you will, here for Inu brother. And when we do see him being thrusted back into battle as the pheasant, as Kiji brother, he still has the salt of the bowl of salt on his head, and this really kind of solves the question and the mystery for both Saru brother and Oni sister as who are some of these companions. So they definitely have discovered who the pheasant is, but it feels very much like when it comes to Inu brother, that's still going to be a little bit of a mystery for them. But you know, maybe they'll put the pieces together, considering how they coincidentally tend to bump into each other all the time. Maybe they'll start realizing, are we also allies on the battlefield? Maybe things will start clicking for them in that regards. But I really enjoyed that aspect. And speaking of just the Beastials alone, we continue to get references in here to Miho, which is Kiji brother's wife, as well as Natsumi, who is, I believe, Inu brother's ex-fiance or girlfriend, or whatever the case may be. I believe they got married as well. So the fact that we get to see Miho in this episode on several different occasions, right? We do see Inu brother thinking about her in a flashback memory before he winds up breaking the glass, I'm assuming at the job that he's certainly working at. He even sees his wife Natsumi in his sort of hallucinations as Haruka's certainly trying to take care of him. I love the slap that she certainly gives him, and the fact that they literally painted or like put a whole handprint on Homeboy's face for like half this episode definitely certainly made me laugh. But when we see Miho arrive at home at the very end, and the only person that's there is in fact Inu brother, two things really fascinated me. One, she clearly did not recognize who he was just from herself. The fact that she has to ask who this is does make me wonder, are they the same person that Inu brother and Kiji brother certainly know? Is there a twin out there that we're certainly not certain of? So I am kind of curious as to why she didn't recognize him. But then the bestial aspect sort of emerges as you get to see that she winds up not only realizing there's a piece of origami inside of his mouth, pulls it out and crushes it for herself, but she starts also doing a little bit of origami herself at the end of this episode, going from sunset all the way into nighttime, doing some origamis for herself. So it does make me beg the question, was Miho also on that bus trip? Was she taken or made to disappear during that particular moment? Also, I can't recall if I saw her in the previous couple of episodes when we do see people on the bus trip. Maybe I'm wrong. I might have to go back and check out that episode to see if I locate her on that bus trip, or if this is something that she's had within her for quite some time, and is now just kind of being brought out now that maybe some of the Beastials are out back in this world. So I definitely do have my questions, but this definitely doesn't seem like the same Miho that good old Tsuyoshi and Tsubasa wind up actually falling in love with. So yeah, man, I can't wait to kind of see how this definitely all plays itself out. The action in this episode I thought was pretty impressive. The idea of seeing Don Momotaro try and take on everybody by themselves. He did this really great sort of Matrix move when he's got the multiples of the villain that he's facing off against. They throw their samurai stars at him, and he does this really cool like corkscrew spin in the middle of the air to kind of avoid all the slashes. I thought it was breathtaking to certainly watch. And then we also get the opportunity to see the Robotaro forms back in here with some great finishing maneuvers. I really loved even like the slash, the rainbow slash in front of the screen, and then just all the fireworks and the explosions kind of going off as they take care of the villain here this week. And if anything, we still don't have another Zord fight in here. I'm really surprised that they haven't taken full advantage of a Zord fight each battle like we're used to. It does make me wonder if the idea of them making these CGI Zord battles, is it super expensive, right? Like, is it really overblowing the budget in the sense where it's like, okay, we can't do this every episode, just super meaningful episodes when it's needed. And I'm not complaining, don't get me wrong. I think I'm just more impressed that I loved the CGI Zord battles more than I expected to going into the season. And so now a part of me is like, please give me more of them. But I also really appreciate the creativity and the idea of changing out the formula for how you've done this show for such a long time and allowing us to kind of see other ways of dispatching these monsters. And by eliminating, I think if you ask me, some of the Zord battles in here, it does allow to have a more personal growth, personal connection between a lot of these characters, and really truly a focus on them, if anything, and really giving, you know, maybe an additional 5 minutes to some more storytelling or character growth and development. So I think that kind of thing does really go a long way. So I do appreciate how they've definitely have been tackling this season and really changing up the formula. But as far as a side honorable mention goes, again, I am fascinated to learn about the connection of the Cerebrains to Jin, who they refer to as the Guardian here, as the three Cerebrains go ahead and actually get teleported to his particular prison. And what we do come to find out is that the Cerebrans are clearly worried about the Beastials, and Sonoi winds up not only requesting to speak with the Guardian, but with Jin turning out to be the Guardian, he is the one that lets us know, or at least they inform us here, that the realm in which they're in is sort of like on the outskirts of both the human realm and the Cerebrains realm, and it feels as though this is very much like a barrier or the first level of protection for these realms to kind of keep the Beastials out. So, you know, Jin is kind of concerned about the idea of what Sonoi was seeing in his visions, right? Clearly, Sonoi notices something, believes that they found some way to get into this realm, despite the fact that Jin thinks that's rather impossible with him being there. So I do find it interesting also, too, that the idea of him being a guardian, it doesn't feel like it's a privilege, right? Or like an opportunity that anybody certainly wants. The fact that he's sort of in prison, and it feels like his penance for some of the stuff that he did was, hey, this is your punishment. Now you've got to be sort of the guardian, and I do wonder all of what exactly that encompasses. So we've got Jin as the guardian. We've also got Kaido as the administrator to everything. How is this all connected? Where's the bigger picture here? I definitely need to know, and I really love the mystery that they've certainly put in front of me in here. So the pieces are coming together, but certainly while answering some questions, a lot more questions certainly to be desired and answers to be desired. But I thought this episode was pretty stellar, man. I had a fantastic time with it, to certainly say the least. But listen, at the end of the day, these are just my A+ opinions, guys. I certainly want to go ahead and know yours. If there's anything that I missed, character moments, storyline details, Easter eggs, your thoughts on this week's episode, please let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below, and we'll certainly go ahead and continue to talk about this episode until next week. But other than that, guys, that's going to do it for me here. In the meantime, do me a big favor, as always, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.